Welcome to today's special call meeting in the Muskogee City Council. Roll call, please.
Mayor Bob Coburn.
Here.
Deputy Mayor James Gully.
Here.
Dan Hall.
Present.
Marlon Coleman.
Here.
Janie Boydston.
Here.
Wayne Johnson.
Here.
Leanne Langston.
Here.
Ivory Van.
Here.
Derek Reed.
Here. Item number 1.
Consider approval of a resolution of support for neighborhood redevelopment project proposed by G&M Development Company and sponsored by the Housing Authority of the City of Muskogee for the construction of 10 new market-rate single-family dwellings located on infill lots within the original town site or take other necessary action.
Mr. Garvin.
Mayor, members of the council, you should have a copy of the resolution in front of you to review. Sorry you didn't see it before now. Just to get started, G&M Development and Muskogee Housing Authority is working together on 2 proposed housing projects here in Muskogee. Both projects will consist of 5 new single-family dwellings. They're saying the size of the structure will be plus or minus 1,400 square feet, 2-car garage. The estimated cost is around $112,000. Area 1 is the 1300 block of Cincinnati Street. It's located between Cincinnati, between M and N on Cincinnati. Here is an aerial that kind of shows you the location. You can see Baltimore, Dorchester, South M, N, and O Street, and Cincinnati, which currently dead ends. There's the location of the 5 proposed structures at this site. Area 2 is in the 700 block of South 23rd Street. It's on 23rd between Tennyson and Carolyn Street. And here you can see 22nd, 23rd, 24th Street, and Carolyn and Tennyson. Carolyn is just a block south of Arline Street. And the proposed location of the 5 structures at this site. Now, what this resolution will do, it will provide financial support in the amount of $130,000. It would be subject to funding being made available through the City Muskogee Foundation, because they are going to make a grant for $250,000. That grant will work towards buy down on the actual cost of the house, very similar to our incentive program where we have $25,000 per structure. They're wanting to do the same thing to get the houses down from $112,000 to roughly $87,000. Now, as far as the funding, the $130,000 from the city that we're providing support for, you're probably wondering where that funding's coming from. And to do that, I'm going to go back to 1986 when Cimarron Contractors and Simcoe Properties received an HDG grant, Home Development Grant. That grant was the amount of $1,900,000. The City of Muskogee was the grantee for that grant, so all the funding had to pass through the City of Muskogee. There was a provision in that grant agreement that said the developer would be responsible for paying back to the grantee $300,000 on or before the year 2018. Currently, it's my understanding the balance of that is $260,000 rather than the $300,000. It was set up like a second mortgage in the grant agreement. So the developer owes the city $260,000 balance by 2018. He is wanting to take $130,000 of that balance due of the $260,000 and put it towards infrastructure improvements. And on infrastructure improvements, he's wanting to do a new street, curb and gutter, sidewalks, and extend a water line. Here on Cincinnati Street, the improvements will be to extend Cincinnati Street to connect it from M to where it currently exists and install a 6-inch water main. The improvements on the 23rd Street project will consist of overlaying 23rd Street, the area highlighted in yellow, and putting curb and gutter and a sidewalk. He's also going to redo or upgrade the intersections at 24th and Carolyn and 24th and Tennyson. He's also stated he's going to redo the intersection at R-Line and 23rd, which is just to the north of this map. Now, according to the grant agreement, it talks about program income, which the $300,000 was considered program income. And the only way that money can be spent is for new construction, rehabilitation, or operation of real property for low and moderate income residential purposes. So that's the only thing that the city can spend that funding for. The project that is being proposed by G&M Development complies with the grant agreement and on how the city can spend the money. Be glad to answer any questions.
Other questions or comments? Is there a motion?
Move for approval.
Second.
Motion and a second. Any other comment or discussion? Roll call.
Deputy Mayor James Gully.
Yes.
Janie Boydston.
Yes.
Marlon Coleman.
Yes.
Wayne Johnson.
Yes.
Leanne Langston.
Yes.
Ivory Van.
Yes.
Derek Reed.
Yes.
Dan Hall.
No.
Mayor Coburn.
Yes. Motion carries. Item number 2.
Receive report from staff regarding the street lights on Honor Heights Drive from Broadway North to the VA hospital and take any necessary action.
Mr. Stewart.
Yes, Mayor. Going to go through the PowerPoint that we presented last Tuesday. We've added a couple of more slides with the costs that you requested us to get. The existing street lights up there are, as we stated before, we know they've been in since the 1950s. We're not sure when they went in. Could find no files or no records on how they were put in, whether it was through a special project or if it was just standard lighting. I assume because it's different that there was some type of a special program or project that went on up there, and I assume it was because it was the entrance to the park. But that's all assumptions. I don't know that. But anyway, these lights are currently not in operation. There's 10 of them up there that are out that run from Broadway Street up to the top of Honor Heights Hill where the VA hospital is. In talking with Mike Ruby from OG&E, we had some options that were presented to us to replace these lights, and as we discussed last time, that's a 14-foot pole there that could be put up. It does have a snowflake on it, so it's showing that it could be used as decoration. Of course, that's a very hard photo to see. That tree in the background kind of makes it where you can't see the snowflake very well, but that snowflake could be adjustable. We put some options and some prices together. The 14-foot pole is the free one. Over on the left-hand side, OG&E will replace that at no cost. They also have a 30-foot pole, and we had some pictures of that last time that we showed you, and OG&E would replace that, although the cost would be $3,061.40 each. They also have a 25-foot pole that they can put up, and that cost is at $2,386.22 each. And then again, we could go with the wooden pole like is standard throughout the community. That height is 25 feet and it would be replaced at no cost. Again, to go through those prices, number one was the 14-foot high pole. It's $719.53. Now, that price was for those extra 3, if you remember, not the 10 that are out, but the 3 extra wood poles that were down on the south end. So if we did all 13 lights with that 14-foot pole, that cost would be $2,158.59. The 25-foot pole could be put up, and again, that price was $23.86, or extended total price for $23,862. Or the 30-foot pole for $30,614, and again, the wooden pole, no cost. I will remind you that White Way account is paid from general fund, and it's a very tight account. We average that over 12 months when we budget it, and we don't budget a lot of extra money in there. The extra money that's usually budgeted is to use to apply toward the downtown street lights that are our maintenance. So if you decide to go with that 25 or that 30-foot pole, we're going to have to move some money into that account. We also talked about if we did the 14-foot pole that we could do some banner poles, and we could put those on the opposing side of the street. At this time, Mike Ruby is here with OG&E, and him and I will be glad to try to answer any questions you might have.
Mike, why couldn't you, I can't remember, I know we talked about it, but I can't figure out, is there any way that we could salvage the poles that are there and run wire through them? There was something brought up about that, but I think I've slept since then.
Yes, and I asked Mike to come to today and give you the answer to that. We talked about the fact that the base would have to be re-poured on the new lights, and the question was, could the wiring actually be run up in the pole? And I asked Mike to come and give you that answer.
Good questions. I don't have the complete list of what we considered before we brought this to you. There was a lot of obsolescence involved. the fact that we don't get parts anymore. But I think the main problem we had was trying to serve it according to our standards, which is underground wire coming up from the bottom of the base up into the fixture. That way it's completely hidden. You don't have any exposed wires. That's the standard way of doing it. I suppose you could redo the base. I suppose there might be an option if it doesn't work, but that's what we ran into. And then with obsolescence and age, we're gauging the council to see what you wanted to do to replace it. We might even take that a step further. Can we rebuild the lights? I don't know if that was a consideration. I think we ran into so many barriers initially that we just brought it to you.
Okay.
And we're going to do whatever you want to do. That's the bottom line.
Can I make a suggestion that we would have a meeting additionally and lay out some of these options and discuss them and get answers and then come back and then we bring it back to council when we have the full list of options covered?
We're agreeable to doing anything you want to do, sure.
Okay.
Yeah.
Would that work with staff?
And I think that would be appropriate, and we also need to probably run this through with another meeting with the neighborhood before we also bring this back. Because ideally what we'd like to have is, of course, a consensus
Yes.
before we bring this back to the council so that we can have one recommendation that everyone's on board with, and then we can put that forward and then move forward to address these lighting concerns and hopefully the concerns that everybody else has related to the hanging of the banners, so that there aren't any, so that they're not knocked off when a truck drives by, or if they're such a height that someone could steal or vandalize them. So I think that's appropriate, and we can meet with individuals from OG&E, have a neighborhood meeting, and I think we can do that probably within the next 30 days.
No, we can do it quicker than that, I would
Yeah.
assume. We need to get this thing wrapped
agree.
up. We've got a dark neighborhood, so
Yeah.
we'll try to facilitate that just as quickly as we can.
Okay.
Okay, we're on board.
Okay. Thank you. Item number 3.
Consider approval to authorize staff to advertise bids for necessary infrastructure improvements to Love Hatbox Sports Complex in preparation for G-Fest schedule for June 6, 2016, or take other necessary action.
Mr. Wilkerson.
Mr. Wilkerson, before you begin, do we have anyone from the Housing Authority that's here to pick up a copy of this resolution?
Can you come up forward with us, please? And let's see what instructions we need.
If you'll take this down to the city clerk's office, tell her that the next resolution that we need, you've got an original, and I've got an original.
Thank you.
And seal it. Okay, sorry.
Mr. Wilkerson, now we're ready for you.
Mayor and council members, the last few weeks we've discussed the projects that we need to do at Hatbox in preparation for the music festival this coming summer. PublicWorks has been very expedient and put together a package to go out to bid for the road construction and the additional pavement that we need to do at the old to repave some of the runways. That's the primary thing that we need to get out to bid. Then in addition to that, we have some other items that we will bring that we need to also do seal bids for because they'll exceed our purchasing limits. But some electrical extensions, including the RV hookups, water extensions that will also be part of those RV hookups, Wi-Fi, fencing. Those are the items that we will have that we'll need to get out to bid. The most urgent one was the roads. That's why we're back on the agenda today, so we can quickly get those out to bid.
Okay.
And I do want to clarify something. The Wi-Fi is considered under a separate item.
Yes, it is.
Under Public Works.
Okay. So we need to move with item number 3.
Correct.
Okay.
And this is just for the roads?
No.
No,
This is we want to get the roads out to bid ASAP, but we don't have the specifications packaged together yet to put out for the electrical and the water extensions.
Okay, and have we figured out about the little plug-in things that we talked about?
We've found the lowest profile pedestal that we can find. We've sent that to the manager for your review. I think I've I've sent it out to, I think we shared it with you today and at Park Board, and
Was that little bitty short one?
yes.
Okay. Will we be able to put some shrubs or something around that to kind of make it not so obvious that it's sitting there? Can we figure out some ways to decorate that? I just do not like that look still. I'm sorry, I just can't.
If you look on page 10 of your packet, those are the specified items that we're sending out for, that you're authorizing us to go out for bid. Councilman Langston, you had a question for me.
Did we get copies of the ones we saw just a little while ago?
No.
Okay.
And I haven't shared these with Mr. Wilkerson
Okay.
either. These are some additional types of pedestals for consideration as we get ready to solicit for those that we may want to look for.
Okay, thank you. But with regard to the landscaping, I assume that we can. I think there's some codes that we have to check with to find out whether you can plant something or how close you can plant it to it.
Okay. I'm just trying to make it still
And
look pretty out there.
And I will tell you, before we actually solicit for to acquire these boxes, I will send out a notification with a photograph to everyone. And if there are any objections, then you'll just notify me. We'll put it back on the agenda for discussion.
Okay.
When we send that out, can you also send us out and dot where they're gonna go and then how we might landscape around them? Because I'm totally in agreement with what Councilman Hall is saying. We want to think 5 years down the road. What's it gonna look like? And if we just, put them like runway lights down the sides of the runway without some ways to soften that look, I think it is not going to be the overall outcome that we want. So I think we're on the same page from that regard. So if that could be included with that communications, it'd be helpful.
So what we're voting on here is what's on page 10, which includes fencing and the east runway, north runway, the electric extension, service extensions, the hookups, and the street and road improvements. Is that correct?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so this is one whole item.
We
Thank
got
you.
a motion?
Yes, and I don't think you have a motion yet, but what you're authorizing is, okay, what you're authorizing is staff to go out to solicit. Now, you'll have to also make a motion to award when they come back, of course.
Second.
Already
Motion
did.
and a second.
Oh, okay.
Is there
Third.
comment or discussion?
I think this is exciting.
I agree. Okay, roll call.
Deputy Mayor James Gully.
Yes.
Janie Boydston.
Yes.
Marlon Coleman.
Yes.
Wayne Johnson.
Yes.
Leanne Langston.
Yes.
Ivory Van.
Yes.
Derek Reed. Dan Hall.
Yes.
Mayor Coburn.
Yes, motion carries. That concludes our agenda for the special call meeting.
Call to order the Finance Committee meeting for February the 16th, 2016. Item number 1, please.
Consider approval of Finance Committee minutes of February 2nd, 2016.
After review of the minutes, are there any corrections?
Move for approval.
Second?
Have a motion and a second to approve the minutes. Discussion. Roll call, please.
Deputy Mayor James Gully.
Yes.
Janie Boydston.
Yes.
Marlon Coleman.
Yes.
Wayne Johnson.
Yes.
Leanne Langston.
Yes.
Ivory Van.
Yes.
Derek Reed.
Yes.
Dan Hall.
Yes.
Mayor Coburn.
Yes.
That item passed. Item number 2, please.
Consider approval of claims for all city departments from January 28, 2016 to February 10, 2016, or take other necessary action.
Do we have a report from the Purchasing Committee?
Yes, sir. The purchasing committee met earlier today, and we reviewed the report of claims, and I move for approval.
Second.
Have a motion and a second to approve the claims. Any discussion? Roll call, please.
Deputy Mayor James Gully.
Yes.
Janie Boydston.
Yes.
Marlon Coleman.
Yes.
Wayne Johnson.
Yes.
Leanne Langston.
Yes.
Ivory Van.
Yes.
Derek Reed.
Yes.
Dan Hall.
Yes.
Mayor Coburn.
Yes.
Item 2 passed. Item number 3, please.
Consider approval of a request for proposal from Playwell Group for new playgrounds to be placed at King, Optimus, Bill Pool, Elliott, and Robinson Park for a total of $150,000 or take other necessary action.
Mr. Wilkerson?
Mr. Chairman and committee members, these are 5 parks that we had the desire to put some additional playgrounds into. These playgrounds are specifically for the age groups of 2 to 5-year-olds. So it's a lower profile. It's more interactive for small developing minds is the plan. And so these 5 parks were part of it. This will be funded through our 5th year of our foundation funding. We chose to do this in an RFP process where we gave the vendors a budget number of $150,000. That's $30,000 per playground. We had 8 various playground vendors submit proposals to us, and then we in turn evaluated them for their creativity and the amount of play elements that you get, and we, have an idea of which playgrounds. They're all typically good, but there's some might be considered better than the others. So once we went through that process and graded them out, Rick Ewing, myself, were part of the selection committee. We went through all 8 proposals and put a grading system to them, and in your packet was the final tabulation for that. Playwell Group is a Playwell is a company out of Oklahoma City. They represent a playground called Playworld. We have many of these playground companies in our parks, and specifically Playworld Playground is located at Elliott Park. And so we're familiar with it. We've been very pleased with that playground at Elliott Park, and so we've chose to go with that company. I just threw, just for purposes of giving you an idea of what the proposals look like, and this is the proposal from Playworld. But each one of these parks will have a small playground area and swings included. The project includes the playground equipment, the surfacing, the borders, the delivery and installation of the equipment. I think, and these are just 2 of the examples that this company submitted to us.
So Mark,
I have a question. Oh, go ahead.
So Mark, on the swings, I'm seeing more and more swing sets where mom can sit in one swing, and it's adaptable, and it's got a cross, and so the child.
Nobody submitted that, but we're going to inquire if that's an option for us to add one of those types of swings.
Because they just look really nice for a mom and a baby to be swinging.
That's a new trend that's just out, and we would like to have some of those, yes.
Okay.
I think this is a wonderful idea. I know King Park is in Ward 1, and I've been real concerned about that for a number of years. My concern I have right now, though, is the lack of fencing at the corner of Gibson and East Side Boulevard, with a park that is geared primarily for 2 to 5-year-olds, which I think is wonderful, and I think we need those. But we're making a big assumption that parents will always be alert and stuff. I was just wondering if on such a busy corner, if there couldn't be some fencing added there that would help with safety issues.
Yes, I think we're even considering just fencing the playground in altogether.
I think that would be an awesome idea there, especially. But thank you. I think this looks wonderful.
What is the warranty on the plastic pieces?
Well, they're each different, I believe, but
Yeah, that's what I just know that we've had a lot of failures on the.
I think you get 10 years out of it.
Okay.
We recently had a failure at a plastic slide at Spalding Park, and it just fell under warranty, and they came and they didn't replace it. They provided the new slide, and we had to install it ourselves.
But you don't know specifically on this manufacturer?
No, but it's the Playworld structures are one of the better companies out there, so it meets the standard, I'm sure, for warranties. I'm sorry, I don't have that right off the top of my head.
Have we used this company before?
Yes, sir.
Move for approval.
Second.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes.
committee. I was just wondering, Mark, on this, is this just chip wood, same as in the rest of the parks?
It's called engineered wood fiber.
Have we ever looked in that, one time we was looking at the parks, about the rubber? The
Yes,
rubber?
sir.
I guess it's quite more expensive.
It's like, I think it's $20 a square foot compared to this might be $2 a square foot. It's the difference. And you can see the space that's required, especially with swings. It takes a tremendous amount of area. that you have to cover.
Now, when you're sliding off the slides here, I noticed you got some rubber.
Yeah, they put pads, they'll place a rubber pad there so that mulch, if you don't do that, that mulch tends to brush out and you get these pits there. So they put the piece of rubber there so that keeps that mulch, keeps the elevation correct when the kids come off the slide so they don't have a big hole that they fall into. And less maintenance for park staff because otherwise we have to go back and fill up those holes.
Now, on these swings, I noticed there's 2 kiddie swings and 2 just regular little
Yes, sir.
swings. That's just always going to be just 4?
Yes, sir.
I think it'd be a great project.
And I just want to thank you for putting something at the only park in Ward 2. Even though Ivory has taken all my parks from me with the redistricting of our deals, I just want to say thank you for putting something in my park for our little kids in my neighborhoods.
Mr. Chairman, may I address that? I know there's no argument or anything like that.
All right.
You know what, Councilman Hall? The other day when we talked, I went and looked at Bill Pool Park. Trust me, y'all got some nice equipment over there. I went and checked it out. You trust me, I went and looked at it. It looks good. Mr. Wilkins, that's another thing I was going to ask you. Is there any way that one day later on, for the bigger kids, that we could add swings? Because, like I said, most parks here in Muskogee, they have swing sets. You know, like at Bill Pool Park, they have a real nice swing set. There's about 6 swings over there. You know, I'm investigating over there on that park. I was just
Check
curious.
out King on Eastside Boulevard in Gibson. There is nary anything there except a sign that says King Park.
Also, that one too, Ms. Langston. I've been there too.
Okay.
All right, we have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Roll call, please.
Deputy Mayor James Scully.
Yes.
Janie Boydston.
Yes.
Marlon Coleman.
Yes.
Wayne Johnson.
Yes.
Leanne Langston.
Yes.
Ivory Van.
Yes.
Derek Reed.
Yes.
Dan Hall.
Yes.
Mayor Coburn.
Yes.
Item 3 passed. Item number 4, please.
Consider approval of a professional services agreement with Michael S. Bates, Labor Relations Consulting Services of Tulsa, Oklahoma, to provide labor relations services to the city of Muskogee, covering the time frame of fiscal year 2016-2017, as well as related employee labor relations work as determined by the city, and authorize the mayor and the city clerk to execute the agreement or take other necessary action.
Ms. Kelly?
Good afternoon, Mr. Chair, members of the committee. This is the 2016-2017 Professional Services Agreement for Michael Bates for negotiations for AFSCME, IEFF, and FOP. It's just a renewal of the contract from last year. Just a little bit of information for you all. This would be the final contract for negotiations for Mr. Bates. We would probably retain him for future years for arbitration purposes, but no longer for negotiation needs. For this fiscal year that we're currently in, we had spent $11,447.50 for negotiations and council meetings and arbitrations thus far. And then for the previous fiscal year, we had spent just a little over $18,000 for Mr. Bates. I'm happy to answer any questions, and I would recommend approval.
Why is this the last time we're using him for the aforementioned you stated?
I am going to sit with Mr. Bates this year. It's been several years since I've sat in on negotiations, and I will be doing the negotiations in the future years, unless it's requested by you all that we continue that service. But I will take that over.
I think we should continue that, what we've been doing.
Okay. We can certainly talk about that.
Okay.
But what if Mr. Bates doesn't want to do it anymore?
That's true.
Okay, just checking. Maybe he's
He
wanting
may
her to
not.
get out and grow her wings and fly.
You may want to fly her to your park.
I got a good bench for him to sit on.
Right.
Can we receive a motion on this item?
Move for approval.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Roll call, please.
Deputy Mayor James Scully.
Yes.
Janie Boydston.
Yes.
Marlon Coleman.
Yes.
Wayne Johnson.
Yes.
Leanne Langston.
Yes.
Ivory Van.
Yes.
Derek Reed.
Yes.
Dan Hall.
Yes.
Mayor Coburn.
Yes.
Thank you.
Item 4 passed. Thank you. Item number 5, please.
Request approval for information technology to solicit an RFP to provide infrastructure for Wi-Fi coverage at Hatbox Sports Complex to cover ticketing areas for G-Fest, RV areas, soccer and football fields, and baseball diamonds, and further to authorize a sole source from Suddenlink Communications to provide internet connectivity or take other necessary action.
Mr. Cummins?
Council, and this came about with with G-Fest coming our way, and we're looking at number one, what we can do to enhance the ticketing. If you've been to any pretty much any show at PAC or BOK or whatever, you got your ticket and they scan it and they can say yes, you can come in, or no, you can't come in. They're going to use the same type of device at G-Fest to control the ticketing. That was the primary thought of, hey, let's put Wi-Fi out there. But since we're going to have Wi-Fi out there, why not go ahead and expand it to the people who are in the RVs? Let them use it as well. If anybody out there has a Wi-Fi device and they get close to a Wi-Fi hotspot, let's allow them to use it as well. And bringing it back to the soccer and football fields and the baseball diamonds, from my understanding, SFM has also expressed an interest in providing Wi-Fi to the people that use the facility. So, there's no sense in putting one here and putting one over here when we can bring one in that can service the entire park. So what we'd like to do is go out for RFP for the equipment to be able to provide the Wi-Fi services to the spots that were identified as needing to be heated up, the ticketing spots, the RV spots, and on back to the various sports venues. And also, Suddenlink has provided a quote for $35,000 to build fiber out to I think we're going to use the big hangar because it's got nice high walls to beam the Wi-Fi out from. And the bandwidth that they have quoted, and I've checked on this because it sounded like was way too much for way too little. But from what I can verify, they are quoting $1,750 a month for 500 megabits. Okay, in comparison, we at the city, we've got 10, and we're paying $700 per month, which I've already started renegotiating that based upon this information. So this is the main thing is to allow us to go out for RFP so that we can get the infrastructure in place to provide the Wi-Fi services to the specific areas and to further go ahead and approve Suddenlink as a sole source vendor for the communications.
This will come back to us for a final agreement?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
So, Chris, will this, since we're going to give so much access, is this going to slow down any of the ticketing process? Well,
not with 500 megabits.
Shouldn't do that?
No.
So
plus what we can do and what we will do is we will prioritize the traffic for the ticketing. So it's going to have the priority. So anybody else will slow down. They won't.
Okay, so they won't delay that any?
Correct. That's similar to what we do with our phones here in-house. Our phones for the city are on priority. So the phones are going to work. Your computer might slow down, but your phone call is going to go through.
Okay, so also, you're talking $1,750 a month for this year, for every month for this year, next year.
Will
that be choked down or reduced if G-Fest isn't being?
Yes, that is actually from what I was told, is a non-contracted rate. So if at the end of G-Fest we want to turn it off, we can turn it off.
Can you just turn off part of it?
We can. We can also look at throttling that back down, and maybe we don't need 500 megabits. Maybe we can just fine with 100. And we're not going to really know that until after G-Fest. Okay. So hopefully the type of crowd that we get out there, we're going to have so many people that we're going to need it. That's my hope.
Well, I hope so too,
based
but I'm
upon the
talking
number of
about,
people.
it's only 3
but
days.
Yes, but if we look at it, when we look at afterwards with PC Land, with whoever the vendor is, PCLZ helped provide some of the information as far as where we're going, where we need to put the things. But we will put that out for bid. But one of the requirements will be that they will log the usage so that we can see exactly what was used. So then if we need to, we can go back to Suddenlink and say, okay, we don't need this much. Let's bring it back, a little bit and see what we got.
Okay.
So.
The other 363 days.
Yes, sir.
Correct.
I agree.
Well, and I noticed you said soccer fields, baseball fields, and all that. Are you going to have like amplifiers or something that gets it to those other spots?
Yes.
Because at the school system, I do know if you don't have anything over there catching it and then bouncing it out again.
Yep. The infrastructure that we're putting out for bid, or putting out for RFP, will include the backhaul, which would be a microwave device between the main building that the cable, the fiber comes into, and the pole that the hotspot will be on. So that will be a direct link to that, and then it'll bring it down to the Wi-Fi hotspot.
Okay, and there'll be some over by the baseball fields, the softball fields too, to pick it.
That's what we have identified.
Okay.
And the water park?
Not the water park at this time, but one of the uses that we're looking at in the future is when we notice I said when we build our expo center out there, then we'll already have the main infrastructure in place for connectivity, for network connectivity, to not only provide bandwidth for our guests there, but also provide any city necessary secure traffic back across that link. And looking at bringing it back to the water park, because we have been looking at needing more bandwidth at the water park, especially when we start putting security cameras there, then we're going to need higher bandwidth. So basically we would just need to add the equipment there to catch that backhaul to provide the bandwidth back to City Hall, and we can secure it.
As you do that RFP, could you put that in as an ad alternate?
Yes, sir, I can.
I mean, since we kind of have a budget of so much.
Start saying, get it out of the way now and still trying to dig for it later.
Sure.
And put it as an ad alternate, then we'll see where we go from there.
Certainly.
So we won't use it at the water park for the 2 days that the
Yes, ma'am.
defense is going on and straight out.
The thing is, though, if we do get it at the water park, well, the water park's going to be in full swing too. So no, they'll be able to use it, because what we will do is we will have to make sure that that they can run their business at the water park. So, and that's through the network.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, it's.
I'm sure glad you understand that stuff.
What is the benefit to having Suddenlink being the sole source provider for internet connectivity?
So the biggest one I can see right now is price. Plus, we use Suddenlink here. All of our fiber sites have been 99.09s uptime. We have not had downtime due to Suddenlink's fiber here in town.
Chris, isn't it also speed?
The 500 megabits, it is. I'm not. The only other provider that I know of is AT&T, and traditionally they have not played well with us.
Well, I thought it was that they couldn't provide that speed with their new system that they've laid.
I haven't even asked AT&T. Before, when we tried to increase our bandwidth here at the city, AT&T quoted us a price that was several times what Suddenlink quoted for the same speed, and they would not back off that. So, no, I haven't even checked with them.
The purpose of this is to put out an RFP. We should find the answers to some of those questions out when we get that back.
Let me point out, the RFP is specifically on the infrastructure. The Suddenlink is a sole source, so the decision we made on that, on this item.
But I think the
Oh.
other reason, though, is because it needs to work in conjunction with what we already have. Is
Yes. Suddenlink has been
Thank you.
very responsive to any issues we have.
So this would cover both. It is an RFP for the
For the wireless
laying of the
infrastructure,
wire.
and
wireless,
sole
yeah.
source for the
Okay.
fiber.
I said that wrong, and I'm not sure everybody understood the
Okay.
correction that I got, so. just wanted to
And
say
this isn't going to have anything, no problems with them transferring from one company to the other later on. Aren't they changing their names as well?
Suddenlink?
Yeah,
I have
didn't they
not-
sell or something?
I have not heard that.
I haven't heard that either.
Okay,
But
for some reason, someone told me that, not
Traditionally, if they change names, no, there's usually not an issue. I've not ever run into one.
Okay.
Move for approval.
Second.
Have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Roll call, please.
Deputy Mayor James Scully.
Yes.
Janie Boydston.
Yes.
Marlon Coleman.
Yes.
Wayne Johnson.
Yes.
Leanne Langston.
Yes.
Ivory Van.
Yes.
Derek Reed.
Yes.
Dan Hall.
Yes.
Mayor Coburn.
Yes.
Item 5 passed. Item number 6.
Consider approval of receiving donated funds for the month of January 2016 in the amount of $135 for the city's animal shelter sponsorship program as per the attached list, or take other necessary action.
Recognizing the chief.
Mr. Chairman, this is part of a regular monthly report that we present to the council and ask that you receive for the month of January the amount of $135 that was donated to the animal shelter.
Have a motion?
Move for approval.
Second.
Have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Roll call, please.
Deputy Mayor James Scully.
Yes.
Janie Boydston.
Yes.
Marlon Coleman.
Yes.
Wayne Johnson.
Yes.
Leanne Langston.
Yes.
Ivory Van.
Yes.
Derek Reed.
Yes.
Dan Hall.
Yes.
Mayor Coburn.
Yes.
Item 6 passed, and that was the final item, so this meeting is adjourned.
So we'll call to order the Public Works Committee meeting. Item number 1.
Consider approval of Public Works Committee minutes of February 2nd, 2016.
Any additions or changes?
Move for approval.
Second.
Have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Roll call.
Deputy Mayor James Scully.
Yes.
Janie Boydston.
Yes.
Marlon Coleman.
Yes.
Wayne Johnson.
Yes.
Leanne Langston.
Yes.
Ivory Van.
Yes.
Derek Reed.
Yes.
Dan Hall.
Yes.
Mayor Coburn.
Yes.
And the motion carries. Item number 2.
Consider approval of a resolution to pre-request mutual aid assistance from the Oklahoma Floodplain Managers Association Disaster Response Team in the event the city suffers damage due to flooding, fire, windstorm, tornado, or other in the special flood hazard area, or take other necessary action.
Mr. Garvin.
Mr. Chairman, members of the committee, a copy of the resolution is in your packet. What the resolution is to request mutual aid assistance from the Oklahoma Floodplain Managers Association. The association has a disaster response team. They will assist the city with any damage assessment due to any type of flooding or disaster. If you approve the resolution, it will authorize the city manager to send a letter to the association to get pre-authorized for their mutual aid. That way, if there is a disaster and we determine we need assistance, they will only be a phone call away at that point. They are willing to assist. There is no cost, so I'd recommend approval of the resolution.
Is this something we've used before?
We have not used it in the past. I'm not sure how long the disaster response team has been working. I think it's just been a few years, but they've made themselves available to any city who would like to use their services. And again, there is no cost, and it is up to us. If we decide we need assistance, we can call them and request it. If not, we can handle it in-house if we need to.
Sounds
Move
great.
for approval.
Second.
Have a motion and a second. Any other questions or discussion? Roll call.
Deputy Mayor James Scully.
Yes.
Janie Boydston.
Yes.
Marlon Coleman.
Yes.
Wayne Johnson.
Yes.
Leanne Langston.
Yes.
Ivory Van.
Yes.
Derek Reed.
Yes.
Dan Hall.
Yes.
Mayor Coburn.
Yes.
And the motion carries. Item number 3.
Consider approval to accept the proposal from Cowan Group Engineering for the analysis of our water distribution system as recommended by the Selection Committee, and if necessary, direct the city manager to negotiate and execute an agreement for the same or take other necessary action.
Mr. Stewart.
Yes, as you guys are very aware, we have a water distribution system that is in need of repair, and we are in need to put together a capital improvement program to assess our needs and to make sure that we're going in the right direction. In doing so, we need to hire an engineering firm to come in and make a major assessment of our water distribution system, our raw water intake line, our transmission lines, and our overall general water distribution system. We're also asking them to come in and look at our daily issues that we have with the system that are the smaller lines in town. As you guys are very well aware, we've got over 200 active leaks, and we need some assistance in developing a plan to go forward. Our system is aged. Our guys are doing a great job. They're trying to stay on top of a system that's just getting older by the day. But we need some help, and we need an engineering firm to come in here and do an assessment and help us lay out a plan of attack so that we can go in the right direction. So in doing so, we put a selection committee together, and we sent out for some RFPs, actually these are RFQs, requests for qualifications. The water system analysis has been identified as the #1 priority during the last few years and has been compounded by reoccurring leaks in many of our transmission lines. And the example is the 24-inch that's constantly leaking on Main, and we just had numerous leaks on it lately. The 30-inch line that leaked last summer, we've lost a tremendous amount of water over the last year with these major leaks, and other various sizes which branch out from them. Proposals again were invited, and 6 responses were received. A selection committee consisting of PublicWorks staff, water distribution staff, along with the fire chief and the city clerk, was constructed, and the proposals were rated and ranked. The tabulation sheet is in your packet on the ranking for the proposals when they come in. Hub, Holloway, Updike, and Bellin was ranked #1 at this stage. 3 firms were shortlisted from that ranking, and those were Holloway, Updike, and Bellin 1, Professional Engineering Consultants PEC 2, and Cowan Group 3. That was from the proposals and review of the proposals in determining the shortlist. So these 3 companies were invited to come in and give us a presentation. Selection committee then interviewed the shortlisted firms. The firm of Cowan Group Engineers, Inc. received the overall high ranking, and that score is in your packet. It was I've covered my note up here. Cowan scored 529, and Hub was second with 526 at that point. And it was recommended from that process to go ahead and recommend Cowan Group. Pam off the selection committee is here. Myself, Prague, I think George is in the back, are here to answer questions on how we determined our ranking. Also, we have representatives from Cowan Group here. We have Jeff Cowan, and Tim Ward would be the project manager if we went with them. We also have from Holloway, Updike, and Bellin, Greg Armstrong and Clay McAlpine. Clay would be the project manager at that point, too. Personally, when the interview process was going, my personal recommendation, I did rank Cowan Group 1 point higher than Holloway, and the reason I did this was because of the fact that they come in with a partnership with RJN on raw water line evaluations. I saw the rest of it very close, but Holloway is going to partner with Garver Engineering, and Garver did not come to that meeting. Callan did bring RJN. The gentleman from RJN is a Tahlequah native. He knows our area very, very well, Thomas Prague. Is that Prague or Prague? Prague, and he went in a lot of detail on how they were actually going to go in and evaluate the raw water line, including penetration tests to rate the structural wall, video testing, sonar, laser detection, just all the different methods that they could use. They also brought with them Rebecca Poole, who is a former ODEQ representative, who was actually very instrumental in our water treatment plant construction. She was the one that oversaw the financial side of it for ODEQ, and she did a very good job in her presentation. But my recommendation on mine, if you looked at your score sheet, I was 1 point higher for Cowan simply because of that fact over Holloway. At that point in time, I'll open it to questions. Again, several of the selection committee members are here along with the 2 engineering firms. Very important project for us.
Mike, does that include our input water, that 48-inch main that comes through in the 24? Is that part of this project? The
48 is what I'm calling that raw water line, and that's where Callan decided to partner with RJN.
Okay.
And that raw water line, the big one, actually is where Holloway has decided to partner with Garver. Okay. Although Clay did go into some detail on how they would do it, Garver was not there to go into the detail that RJN did.
Okay. Sorry about that.
Is there any possibility of having both firms work at different portions of the project?
That's absolutely possible. It's council's pleasure. Both of these are very good engineering firms and would be pleased to work with either.
The scoring is so similar.
It was a tough score for us. Pam and Prague and George are here. If you'd like to ask them, all our scores, if you go and look at score sheets, and we did them very independently. They are all very close.
And Mike, there were, I guess you scored them on 9 criteria.
That 9 criteria that we scored them was off of the proposals, not the interview.
Okay.
And that was 9 scripted questions.
I would agree with Mayor Coburn that they're so very close, and they're both obviously very qualified. And if we could split this up, I think that'd be a great.
How would you potentially split it up?
To me, the raw water line is definitely leaning toward RJN and Cowan. Clay, as you guys are very well aware, was our city engineer for many, many years, and has a very good understanding of our distribution system inside the community. He knows where our problems are. As a matter of fact, he pointed one out where we've got a 24-inch transmission line that's very near some housing. That's very, very scary. But those are the things that Holloway brings to the table, is that local knowledge. And what Cowan brings to the table, and the proposals are here, but they've done a lot of extensive work on these major raw water lines in determining, their criteria for replacement, or whether it could be slip lined, or just the different processes that you could use to replace those. We're just eager to go forward.
If we were going to make a recommendation if we were going to make a recommendation before council, do we need to do that tonight in terms of separating that work, or today?
We would like to have that. As a matter of fact, Roy, would it be possible to authorize us to go ahead and work a contract out and then bring that back? Maybe we can get that worked out by the next council meeting, and if not, we can surely have it by the following.
Yeah, I think that's appropriate, and that way we know whether or not our 2 engineering firms are agreeable to even do that. Yeah.
Could I put that in form of a motion without restating it?
Because of knowledge base.
I think we have some comment.
Clay? Clay, to the mic, if you don't mind. Clay. And I think you know the routine, name and address for the record.
I'm Clay McAlpine. I'm Vice President with Holloway, Updike, and Bellin, and I live at 218 Fort Gibson, 218 Coventry Lane. Greg's Vice President with our company, and I'm sure you know Greg. Jay wanted to be here today, but he had another meeting and couldn't attend. I know you're all familiar with our company, but I'd just like to hit a few high points that you may not be familiar with. Hub, or Holloway Engineering, was founded over 40 years ago in Muskogee, so we're a local firm. Our office is on Eastside Boulevard, and we've been there for well into the 70s. We also have an office in Broken Arrow, and the reason we have an office in Broken Arrow is because the city of city of Tulsa has a requirement to be eligible for city work in Tulsa. You have to have an office in the Metroplex. So, they look on local firms very favorably too. We have 30 full-time employees, and most of which have a good, high-paying professional salary. 8 of those are civil engineers. Our annual payroll is $2.5 to $3 million. And a real important fact, I think, that's worth bringing out is 80% of our employees, their families, and their extended families live in the Muskogee area. They go to church here. They work here. They pay the utility bills that help pay for these projects. They pay the sales tax that help pay for these projects. Shop in Muskogee, and these are the people that you've been elected to represent. We submitted a written proposal, or statement of qualification a couple of months ago, and interviewed with the committee for the project, and we're very interested in this project. We've been discussing it with the staff for over 2 years, and a lot of the items of work are actually at our suggestion. The reason that Garver did not come to the interview is we only had a 4-day notice that the interviews were going to happen, and the people that needed to come just could not come. They had prior commitments, so I tried to cover it the best I could. But we intended to use them to help evaluate the raw water line and do a condition assessment. I know a lot about the raw water line, too. I'm probably the only person alive that has actually cut into it and seen it. So with that, you know, the system is over 100 years old, and it's starting to fail. You have a lot of needs, and some of those needs are, of course, to look at the raw water line to see if it's good for another 20 or 30 years. Look at the pre-treatment issues up at the dam. Look at the distribution system itself. It's starting to fail. Those old lines are starting to go. And you have a high water loss. That needs to be looked at. And also, you need some accurate maps. You do not have accurate field maps that the people can take to the field. And, you know, today's technology, you ought to be able to pull it up on your iPhone and look at it. And we have that technology. We provided that to our other clients. You know, this project requires a broad level of experience. And in our handout there that we gave you, it details our experience, and it goes into a lot of detail about the project approach. I think it was probably more detailed than anybody else. Experience, we assembled a good project team. We teamed up with Garver. We also teamed up with another company called Matchpoint, and they specialize in leak detection and water loss. And we worked with them before, and they're very respected in the industry. And if we need those people, we have them available. Like Mike was saying, Jay and Greg and myself, we probably know more about this water system than anybody. I worked and directed the operations for 20 years. Jay designed a whole bunch of the improvements. And Greg's reviewed plans as city engineer for the last 10 years. So our knowledge of the system is invaluable. And our knowledge will also do some other things for you. It'll save you time, it'll save you money. You're always interested in saving money. At least when I was city engineer, I was. And we can save you money. You don't have to work with a company that has to educate themselves on the system layout, what's in your system, how it functions. We can hit the ground running. We know what needs to be done from day one. According to the staff, like Mike said, our proposal that you have ranked the highest. And
so Clay, that really wasn't what we were asking. We were asking if we could split it. We know who you guys are, and
I understand that, but
I'm going to have to ask Callan up here now to visit with us.
Well, that's fine, but if you let me finish, I think I've got some good points.
Can we address the issue that we said, could we split the project? I think that's what we're going to ask staff to go out and take a look at and see what we can do. Quite frankly, I don't mean to cut you off, but really, I don't think we're sitting here ready to start reviewing RFPs and going
Well, I wasn't
direction.
really asking you to do that.
Well, it's
what I was asking you to do is, you know, you talk about, you know, support for local businesses.
We understand that.
And you talk about, you know, city growth. And, you know, mayor and council, you talk all the time about, you know, keeping people shopping local, buying local, and get that revenue in town. Well, this is a lot related to that, you know.
I understand.
You also talk about the economic development, you know, bringing businesses into town with high-paying jobs. We have those high-paying jobs. You also give 5%, you know, preference to local contractors. And, you know, past administrations have also made it a policy to give a local A&E firm, architectural or engineer, for those type of projects preference on that kind of work. You know, that's all important stuff, and I think Muskogee has we've got a good track record with Muskogee. We've done a lot of projects. We designed the water treatment plant. It got the Plant of the Year award a couple of years ago. We've done a lot of water and sewer and street projects. We have the experience to do all this. I don't think you need to split the projects. We've got the experience and capability to do it all.
Okay, thank you.
And I want to emphasize that. We've got a long-term commitment here. We've been here a long time. We plan on staying here. And, you know, Muskogee was one of our first clients, and they're our oldest clients. And we really value, you know, your business. So, you know, having said that, you know, I'll wrap it up, and I'm not going to waste your time. You know, we'd like you to consider us for the whole project. We feel like we can do a good job. We feel like we're qualified. We think Garber will do a good job for what the portion we're asking them to do. And they did not get an opportunity to present that because of the short notice. So having said that, we'd urge you to consider us as a local firm and the subcontractors that we've teamed up with. Thank you.
Clay. Mike, I'm sorry I didn't catch your Cowan Group's name. I'd like to give him a chance
Jeff
to.
Cowan is here, and I think he would like to address you too.
Jeff, name and address, if you don't mind, just for for Pam.
Chairman and the members, I do.
We
My
need
name
your
is
name
Jeff.
and address, though.
Jeff Cowan.
There you
go. 16700 Kingsley Road, Oklahoma City, Oklahoma. First, I'd like to thank the selection committee for all their work that they put together for this project. I know it's very important for each and every one of you and for the growth of this city. And I'm not going to say that I know everything about the system, as Clay has mentioned. But one thing I do know is that we understand water and water system and municipal governments. And so with that, I do want to share a couple of things, and I understand where he's coming from, is that in the beginning, I know Tim Ward is with us here. He was the assistant director of DEQ and retired there and came on with us. So we bring a lot of wealth of experience and knowledge to the city. And we did reach out to Hub, but we realized that they were already on a team with somebody else. So we would decide to go ahead and team up with RJN, a national firm, to help us with the large diameter raw water line, which we feel very experienced in that. I'm not going to say a lot more other than, we're willing to share a portion of the project, and I'll say that as a professional engineer. I'm willing to share because I'm a city engineer in several other cities, and that's what I do in those cities as well. And so I'm open to that, and with any of that, if you have any questions, just let me know. And one last thing that I did share with Mike and the selection committee is that what we bring is just a fresh set of eyes and to look at your system. And yeah, I think we can lean on a lot of their help as well to help make this thing a really good capital program for the city as we move forward. So with that, I'd like to thank everybody here today.
Okay, thanks, Jeff.
Thank you.
All right. Pleasure of this committee.
Well, I would be happy to move that we ask staff to see if there's a way that could be negotiated where they could work together not work together, but they could work on separate parts of the project and bring that proposal back to us.
I'll second that.
I have a motion and a second. They're pretty clear on the motion. Any discussion or questions?
Well, I have an issue here. And we had a committee that went out and they graded the two firms, correct? And they made a decision, or three firms, and they made a decision. I'm sure that nobody cares if we split it up or anything. I just felt like I was in the principal's office getting in trouble for not using a local firm. I don't know. I feel bad about that. I feel like I just got chastised for something that I haven't even done yet. And I just felt like I wanted to voice that opinion right there. I trust Mike Stewart. I trust the people that were on that committee to do their job. I just want to say thank y'all.
Okay. Still have a motion and a second to direct staff.
Mr. Chair, I'll just say that I think for future meetings, if there's a way for us to establish a protocol that if we're going to get full-blown presentations, I think everyone needs to be notified.
Okay.
Because we need to be certain as a council that we look as though we're giving the fullest benefit to all of those who are involved.
Very good. Any other comments, discussion? Roll call.
Deputy Mayor James Gully.
Yes.
Janie Boydston.
Yes.
Marlon Coleman.
Yes.
Wayne Johnson.
Yes.
Leanne Langston.
Yes.
Ivory Van.
Yes.
Garrick Reed.
No.
Dan Hall.
No.
Mayor Coburn.
Yes.
The motion carries. Pam, did we have anybody wishing to address this committee?
No, sir. We still have
Water
one
line
more
easement.
item.
Water line, oh, I'm sorry, item 4.
Consider approval to accept a
bad.
water line easement from Virginia Reard Family Trust of Muskogee County, Oklahoma, and authorize the mayor and city clerk to execute any documents related thereto or take any necessary action.
Mr. Stewart.
Yeah, last week we had a easement on your agenda. That was part of that consent order. This is the other piece of that we need. This is the Reard Family Trust. They are agreeable. We've worked it out with them. It's in your packet. Again, this is part of that consent order. That water line that we're currently repairing or replacing. That's out on the west side of Muskogee by the casino. By the way, that project is underway, and we need to be onto this piece of property. We will meet our deadlines on the consent order, so we recommend approval, and we'll answer any questions.
Move the approval.
Second.
Have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Roll call.
Deputy Mayor James Scully.
Yes.
Janie Boydston.
Yes.
Marlon Coleman.
Yes.
Wayne Johnson.
Yes.
Leanne Langston.
Yes.
Ivory Van.
Yes.
Derek Reed.
Yes.
Dan Hall.
Yes.
Mayor Coburn.
Yes.
And the motion carries. Now, no citizens wishing
No,
signed
sir.
up. We are adjourned. Thank you for keeping me straight.
Still have it.